Good afternoon, welcome to Rundlii Gaming. So we're going to be doing another video of how to play a game. This particular one is called Corporate America. This is kind of a tongue-in-cheek of the US politics, which sounds probably really boring when you think about it. But it's actually a pretty interesting game. There's a lot of kind of tongue-in-cheek of, what happens in the world of politics and the buying and selling of elections, essentially. Now, what we're going to do here is go over how the game itself plays, to see if this might be a game that you might enjoy, to see if it might be something that you want to buy in the future, and kind of just go over, how the game itself runs. Now, how the game will begin itself is going to also depend on the number of players. So, as an example, there will be a little bit less. For example, you'll have different amounts of money depending on the amount of players themselves. So in the case of like 3 to 4 players, you'll have 3 of the 1s, 3 of the 2s, 3 of the 3s, 3 of the 5s, and 1 10. Whereas on a 5-player or more, you get 3 1s, 3 2s, 2 3s, 2 5s, 1 10. So it's about $8 less if you're in a bigger game. That way there's not as much money floating around. But usually there's quite a bit of money just kind of being thrown around as you play through as well. Then you also, depending on the number of players, will have different executive privileges put down in here. It is always random, because you're not going to actually put all these down, but just a select amount. So normally with a first game through, you would want, with 3 or 4 players, you're going to want 4 of these cards. They will be random. You cannot look at them before it, because they are very powerful, but it also depends on the game itself of which ones you drew. If it is a 5-player or more, it will be 3 instead. Now sometimes, after you played a couple games through, you could increase this if you choose, or you can kind of play with the base amount. What essentially the executive privileges are, they are basically a turn counter for the game itself. So let's say if you want to only play 3 rounds as a 5-player game, it's going to take a little bit of time to get through each of these rounds because you're dealing with 5 different people throughout the table. If you're playing with 4 of these, it'll be an extra round, which means a little bit more play time, so the game's going to be a little bit more lengthy. But usually once everyone's more familiar with the game, it tends to roll a little bit quicker. So maybe if you're wanting to go for a really long game, you might add 1 or 2 executive privileges, which will pretty much tack on 20-25 minutes depending on the game and how quickly everyone runs their turn. Also, depending on the number of players, players will get a certain number of businesses. So for a 3 or 4 player, you will get 5 businesses. If you're playing with a 5-player or more, you're going to have these 4 businesses here. So let's say, as an example, we're just going to use 4 executive privileges, and the rest of these we're going to throw back in the box. We're not going to be able to see what any of these do, because we don't want to know what's currently in play for this game. So what we're going to do is kind of go over the different businesses and how they function, because the game starts off at the Wall Street phase. In the Wall Street phase, this is basically where each player is going to start a certain number of businesses for the round. So in the case of the 3 or 4 player, because we drew 5 businesses, you would draw 5 with a 3 or 4 player. At this point, we can look through our different businesses here and find out what we're wanting to build. Now there are certain benefits to the game if you have synergy. Synergy being if there are any businesses that interact with each other. In this case, Deranged Fantasy Games is the name of this business here. This will give you technology, media, and sin. And a lot of these have kind of funny names with it. And then the other one here is called Idle. I'm guessing kind of making fun of like your iPod. So you have technology and luxury. So if you have these two businesses together, you'll have one, synergy of two whenever a technology business is triggered. The rest of these don't actually synergize with anything, so you won't get any benefits of that, which will be a factor later. But like if you bought both these businesses, they'll actually kind of work together and help you with different things. There will be a red arrow that goes downward. That is the startup fee. And then there is an arrow upward, which is how much you get if this particular one triggers. So let's say if this one, you were to buy this, it'll cost you $10. Anytime a technology, media, or sin come up, you'll gain $4 back. For idle, it is $8 to start up, but each time it triggers a technology or luxury, you'll get $6 back, so it's a pretty decent investment. It does have a negative on it though, of labor. So if any laws deal with labor laws, or any kind of labor related things, this could negatively impact you. Otherwise, we have a few other things like food. We also have transportation and energy. We also have entertainment and home. So each of these are going to be different pros and cons of getting them. There's not really much synergy going on with the rest of this, so it's kind of up to preference really. You might want to get stuff that gives you high amounts of income. For example, with Make Dead Cow is the name of this business here. It costs $5 to start up. However, anytime the food triggers, you get $10 back. So the first time this triggers, you're going to get your money back. Now it does have a few disadvantages. First off, it's a labor business, meaning if any kind of labor law comes up, you could be impacted. It also says shared customers give $1 to the owner of a health business whenever food is consumed. So anytime that food is consumed, you actually give one of your dollars away to one of the other businesses that have health. So essentially then, that means you're getting $9 instead of $10, but you still get your $10, but then you give $1 to someone that has a health business. And same thing with this one. This one's called Dinorrhea Oil. This is a technology, so it's $12 to start up, $8 whenever it's consumed. This one has polluting on it. So again, anytime any kind of polluting legislation comes up, you could be negatively impacted. So for now, we're going to go ahead and just start up these four businesses here. This one goes back to our hand, so that way we can play it in the future. Now, another thing you'll notice too is that there will be a presidential thing here. It's basically the first turn marker, and it also determines who the president actually is. The first go around, it doesn't matter much, but it'll also be the turn order of when people put down different businesses, and who triggers consumer first, etc. So let's say that I'm president, each of these things will happen with me being first, then it goes to my left until everyone's completed each thing. So like businesses, I completed mine, person on my left now completes theirs, but usually with businesses, we all just try to complete them as we play, and then hopefully it just kind of speeds up the game instead of everyone waiting for me to finish my businesses. But it depends on the player order itself. So we will go ahead and throw down a couple over here for this person here. Now, consumer phase is pretty much the point that people are going to start making a lot of their money back. Now, any money that you've earned or that you've had from the beginning of the game still left in your hand, you will keep that in your hand. The cool thing about this game is that all the money has the exact same back, and you'll see why that factors in a little bit, but all of it is cardboard money, but they all have the same actual back on it, which makes it hard to tell what each of them actually are when they're face down. But for now, we're going to do the main street. At this point, it will start off with me and go to my left again. I will then drop a consumer card. In this particular case, a consumer of a house would show up. That means anyone that would have a house would then get paid. Now, what I can do here, though, is I can then say, well, I don't really want this card because, as you can see, I don't actually have any houses. So me leaving this card out is going to help someone else get paid. Like my opponent on my left here, he does have one house, so if I let this sit, he's going to get $6 out of it. I make nothing. The first time you lay one of these cards out, so that initial card I just laid out is free. If I want to get rid of this card, it's going to cost me $4. So if I want to discard it right now, I pay $4, then I lay down another one. Now with Sin, however, I do have a Sin business. So the Sin itself will trigger for me. My person on my left now will play one of their cards. They don't really want a happy face, so they're going to pay the $4, get a new one. They do want the house, so they'll keep it. Let's say it just keeps going around. Let's say that's back to me again. I do want to keep this in. They, on their turn, would get this in. They don't want it because they don't want me to get money, so they're going to pay the $4. Get rid of that. Green, they don't. Well, they do have one green, so they're going to keep the green. Back to me. I do not have green, so I don't want to keep that, so I'll pay $4. Food, I'll keep that. My opponent here, entertainment, he does not want it, so he'll pay another $4. Light, he doesn't want it, so the next time it will cost $6, because this resets every time you play another card. So he now pays another $6, so now he's already paid $10 to get this card, which is another light. Maybe at this point he determined another $8 probably isn't going to be worth paying to get a new one, so he skips and leaves it. This will be a protest. So for now we're going to keep the protest up there. It does not count towards your first card. Another protest. And entertainment. So at this point, yeah, I believe it's me right now. So I do have entertainment, so I'm probably going to keep that because I do have synergy with it. I'll make some decent money on it. At this point, he's kind of broke, so he's like, I'm going to leave that one alone. At this point, then you're going to do payouts. So at this point, we're going to look at a few different ones here. So we have one of each of these, and then we have 3 Sin. So what we're going to do is do house. So in this case, the money he'll make on this one will be 6 per trigger. In this case, it will be 1 trigger, he makes $6. I do not make anything. Light, I will make $8. He will not make anything because he has no light as well, or energy in this particular case. Food, I will then make $10. He will then make $6. Entertainment. Now we do both have synergy in entertainment. Well, technology is actually the proper name for it. So for technology, I will get 6 plus 4 is 10. Then there's a synergy bonus. So if you have 2 businesses that are the same, you'll get a plus $2. If you have 3 businesses that are the same, you'll get plus $5 on top of that. If you have 4 businesses that are the same, you get plus $9. So if you have everything in technology, this could be extremely profitable. Because let's say if you have 7 different businesses, all with technology, you're going to get a bonus $27 on top of whatever you would make from it triggering itself. So, and same thing with green. If we have any green businesses, we'll make money off of that. Sin will trigger 3 different times. Each time it triggers in this business, I get $4. So in this particular case, I will get $12 from the 3 of those. At that point, everybody should have their money from the consumer. That's pretty much everything that occurred on that particular round. And then we're going to do legislation. Now, starting off legislation, we are going to reveal a bunch of different businesses here. And then you can basically run on different premises, or different ideas as far as, I want to become president, so I can put in these particular laws and do these particular things. So we have a couple different things here. The first one is filibuster. This does nothing, but it also gets rid of any kind of anti-government protest. Now, because we have these 2 protests, we do have to find things that will help get rid of these protests. If there is a means of getting rid of it, we have to put those in play. So for example, we do have to do a conservative law to get rid of this particular protest there. Now, since we've only drawn 6 right now, because we won't actually see what these other 2 are until someone has been elected. Once they have been elected, there will be 2 more laws that come into play, and those will then be able to be chosen for the president as well. The president will be able to choose 3 of these laws, so they can do quite a bit of damage depending on what they throw in there. So, to kind of give you an idea what each of these do, for example, the first one is censorship. Entertainment and media businesses have -2 income. This will help with any kind of Christian or conservative type laws or protests. So this could get rid of this one here. Sin businesses have -2 income. This will help with a conservative or Christian. Now these 3 up here are laws, as well as this one down here. So these all could effectively, because whenever it's a law, it stays in play until someone gets rid of it. The president can also revoke 1 current law that's on the books per election. So let's say if this was turn 2 and we had 3 of these laws out here, I can then get rid of one of those laws in order to either benefit myself or benefit someone that might have voted for me, or whatever we chose to do. Next one is labor and food businesses have -2 income. Now, I know for a fact that he has food businesses, though it's not a big thing for him. And then I have food businesses, but I also have a lot of labor businesses, so I definitely do not want to see that one hit the table, because that would be bad. Because this is a labor business and a food business. This is a labor business as well. So this right here is going to hurt both of these businesses quite a bit. Because it's going to be -2 income per trigger of the food per each of those businesses. Next one is filibuster, does nothing. Sometimes that's a good thing to just go ahead and do. If everything's going to be negatively impacting a lot of stuff, then sometimes it's a good route to take. This one is divide $15 as you choose between players who own health businesses. So this is Obamacare. If you put that in, then anyone that has health businesses, you can divide this money amongst, kind of to help out maybe those people that helped invest in you to become president, or you may just give to yourself if you have a health business. This one is entertainment businesses have +2 income. So this will actually help out entertainment businesses. So if I had a lot of entertainment, then this might be beneficial for me to go for. So basically we have censorship, the sin tax, Secure Fence Act, filibuster, Obamacare, and Stop Online Privacy Act. So those are the different ones that we could run on the premise of, hey, I am running because of this. So let's say me and this person on my left both decide that we are going to run for president. And our money is currently kept secret, but I kind of give each of us a little bit of money so that we kind of know what's going on. Now, how this is going to work is this always starts out for the president first. So let's say I am currently the president. I then will donate to whoever I feel I want to try and win this election. So it actually goes based on who puts the most money into the election. So it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek of our political system. The more money you spend, the more likely you are to win. In this case, the more money you spend, you will win. So I can now lay down as much money as I want within one of my own piles on my side of the board. Because usually we decipher, so let's say the person on my left donated 2 of these to me, I'll put his in a separate pile just in case something might affect it. At this point, he will now drop 1 bill here, and then it'll proceed with the other players here. So round 2, we will continue on. I can then donate a little bit more money if I choose. So at this point I have a little bit more of a stack going on here. Let's say he's going to throw down most of his money now because he wants to try to make sure that he's going to win this. Then it proceeds with the other players at the table. Lastly, we do 1 more round of bidding. I see that he threw down a lot of money, so I'm going to throw down a little bit more money as well. he feels confident, so he's not going to throw any more money on his side. These other two players will then finish throwing any bids if they choose to do so. And then once everyone has finished that last round, it goes to Capitol Hill. Then each player now counts up the amount of money that they've spent. In this case, there's 21 spent on my campaign. And 16 spent on his. Now, the difference is, at this point, I am currently broke because I no longer have money left, but he does have some money in his hand left, so... any money that is thrown into a campaign does leave the game. So you don't actually get to keep anything that you've donated to other players, so that is a little bit of a disadvantage. And also on top of that, if I donate to another player, that does not mean I'm going to make them extremely rich either. So at this point, I'm going to take an executive power because I managed to win the election. I have to keep this hidden for a little while. And so these are very powerful cards. If you hit them, or if you use these particular cards, they do, and I'll kind of read over a couple of those in a little bit here, but they do affect things pretty drastically. Now, at this point, we have two more laws that appear. The next one is I can subsidize technology sector. Divide $15 as you choose between any players who own technology businesses. Then there's also the Defense of Marriage Act. Does nothing, but it also helps with conservative and Christians. So this would get rid of this one if I chose to do that. Or I could throw down one of these, which could hurt people at the table. Maybe they voted against me and therefore I'm going to take out repercussions on them. So let's say I'm just going to do the Defense of Marriage Act. So that's one. Then I will do subsidized technology sector. This is not a law, so therefore it will trigger and it'll be done once it's done. I can then split up $15 amongst anyone that has technology, so I'm going to just pay myself off here. I do own technology, and he didn't vote for me, so I'm not going to give him money. And then lastly, we're going to make technology business. Yeah, we'll make entertainment business a little bit better. So at this point, this will also go into law, and the rest of these disappear. Since we did conservative, the conservative protest will disappear. This one, however, will stay on there until something gets rid of it. So the next president has to deal with this protest on their turn. And then it's going to basically proceed like this until the game itself pretty much ends. And as I said, this is basically the turn counter. So I drew one of the executive privileges, and I'll read what that does. Use this power as a player's business is about to make money from a consumer's card during the Main Street phase. That player must discard that business and take its startup costs from the treasury. He or she can immediately pay to start a new business from his or her hand. So this is a very painful card, because let's say if they have a ton of synergy going on, I play this card and I get rid of one of his technology businesses. He's not going to make the money he was going to from it. He gets the startup money back, but then that card he still has in his hand. He can play that, but it may not be another technology, so it does hurt a little bit. So it's a kind of a powerful card to play. If this card is in your hand at the end of the game, you'll make $5 from that as far as calculating the winner. The game itself will end once it goes all the way around, and then it'll finally end on the last Main Street phase. So let's say that the last turn occurred and the last executive privilege is gone. It will then go back to the Main Street phases one last time, and then that'll end the game itself. As far as the game itself, the only thing that differs when you come back around on turn 2 is Wall Street phase. Each player then draws 2 cards, starting off with the president, going to the left. Each player will then play 1 business card, discard a business card, and then keep any remaining. And then it does the consumer phase again. Then the campaign trail, 6 cards are revealed. 3 bid phases, back to president, winner taking executive privilege. Again, Wall Street, draw 2 businesses each, and this will continue on until the game ends. At the end of that last Main Street phase, the person with the most money wins the game. So very simplistic, straightforward game, very easy to play, very easy to learn. That really is the bulk of the game though. A lot of fun, because there's a lot of back and forth amongst the players, because a lot of times you're going to have different party lines depending on, let's say if I run a lot of technology businesses, so does my person on my left, we are probably going to likely work together, and it won't necessarily because I like that person or that person's a friend, but rather because me and him directly have reasons to help each other. If I want to get a lot of technology bonuses, he also has technology, we have a reason to work together. Whereas if this person over here gets a lot of benefit from green, sometimes that might hurt a lot of technology businesses. So he doesn't want to see his green hurt, so he might run on the idea that maybe I want to put green legislation in, which can sometimes hurt things like polluting businesses or labor businesses. So there's going to be a little bit of back and forth, and depending on who wins the election, they can do a lot of swing to different things. Because as I said, if I had a lot of entertainment businesses, this would be massively beneficial to me. Or perhaps the guy that I was working with, he has entertainment businesses, so that might give him incentive to vote for me. Voting for me meaning throwing money at me until I win. So, all in all, it's a fantastic game. It's actually one that I've seen a lot of reviews on, and then I found out that it's actually a lot of fun to play. Most of the people I've played with so far have really enjoyed it. It's supposed to be a lighthearted game. You just want to kind of not think about it too much, just kind of have fun with it and try to enjoy yourself. But all in all, great game. But yeah, I mean, it's very simplistic, very easy to play. So if you do like this game, or if you like this review, definitely check out my channel for any other reviews. I have done several others not too long ago, things from like Coup to Cards Against Humanity. We hope to do a lot more in the near future, things like Dixit. I've already done that one. You might see Power Grid before or after this one, so depending on when this video came out, you'll see more of those as well. Otherwise, thank you for watching Rundlii Gaming, and you have a good day.